You are about to see was recovered from 4 cameras and 6 rolls of film found buried in snow on a mountainside in the northern Urals. Cameras belonged to 9 hikers. The film was developed by Soviet investigators. The hikers were dead. February 1959, Soviet Union. A group of 9 experienced hikers, students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Sverdlovsk, set out on a winter expedition through the northern Ural Mountains. Their destination was Otorten, a peak 1,200 meters above sea level, a grade 3 route, the highest difficulty in the Soviet system. They were young, they were trained, they had done this before. None of them would come back. Their leader was Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, a radio engineering student with a reputation for precision and quiet competence. He had already led multiple winter expeditions. He had planned this route himself. He had selected every member of the group personally, choosing people he trusted, people with mountain experience. Everything was done correctly. Every procedure was followed, and it did not matter. The group was remarkable. 2 women, Zenaida Kolmogorova, 22, and Ludmila Dubinina, 20, in an era when women rarely joined extreme winter expeditions. Among the men, Krivonyshenko, 23, who had worked at the Chelyabinsk 40 nuclear facility, a closed Soviet city, processed weapons-grade plutonium; Kolevatov, 24, a nuclear physics student; and Zolotaryov, 37, the oldest by more than a decade, a World War II veteran who had joined at the last minute. His presence has never been fully explained. His military background, his last-minute inclusion, camera he kept around his neck. These details have fueled theories for decades. Doroshenko, 21, tall and strong, built like an athlete. Slobodin, 23, an engineer with a strong jaw and an easy laugh. And Thibaut Brignol, 23, a French surname but fully Russian, quiet and steady. 9 people, 7 men, 2 women, ages 20 to 37. All of them experienced, all of them confident, none of them afraid of the mountains. The group left Sverdlovsk by train on January 23rd, 10 of them. They traveled north to Ivdel, then by truck to Vizhai, the last settlement before the Tiger. Beyond Vizhai, there was nothing. No towns, no roads, no telegraph lines. From there, they entered the forest on skis. 100 kilometers of wilderness, dense taiga, birch and pine, so thick the sky disappeared. Temperatures between -25 and -35 degrees. If something went wrong, no one would know for weeks. The photographs from those first days show a group that is happy, relaxed. They ski through birch forests in single file. They stop for meals around small fires. Krivonyshenko plays guitar in the evenings. In one photograph, he stands on a fallen tree, guitar raised, the others laughing. Kolmogorova writes in her diary every night. Zolotaryov photographs everything. They are young people doing what young people do, laughing, complaining about blisters, telling stories by firelight, living as if the future is guaranteed. On Gary 28th, one member, Yuri Yudin, turns back. His knees are aching. He says goodbye to the others at the edge of the forest. There is a photograph, Yudin embracing Dubinina. It is the last time anyone outside the group will see any of them alive. Yudin will spend the rest of his life trying to understand why he survived. He will die in 2013 at 75 without an answer. 9 hikers continue north. For 2 days, trek is routine. Then, January 31st, the weather changes. Strong winds, poor visibility, drifting snow. They push through. On February 1st, they emerge from the tree line onto the exposed slope of a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. In the Mansi language, the language of the indigenous people of these mountains, the name means dead mountain. The Mansi have avoided this peak for generations. The 9 hikers did not know the name, and if they did not take it as a warning. They may camp on the slope, not at the tree line, where there is shelter, on the open slope, 1,500 meters from the nearest trees. Why? Dyatlov's diary does not explain. Perhaps they were practicing slope camping for certification. Perhaps they were tired. Whatever the reason, they pitched their tent on a mountainside exposed to wind, cold, and whatever else the mountain held. The last photograph shows them setting up tent. The wind is visible in the falling snow. They are using skis as tent poles. 9 people preparing to sleep on dead mountain. The photograph is slightly overexposed. The light is fading. It is the last image any of them will ever take. There is one more photograph, the most debated image in the case, frame 34 from Krivonyshenko's camera, just a blur of light against darkness. Some believe it was accidental. Others believe it was the last photograph taken that night, a flash firing as the tent was being evacuated. It shows either nothing or everything, depending on what you believe. That night, the 9 men settled into the tent, crowded, 9 bodies shoulder to shoulder, breath forming clouds of ice. They wrote in their diaries. Kolmogorova notes the wind. Dyatlov notes the temperature. The entries are routine. There is no premonition, no sense that anything is wrong. Outside the tent, the wind howls across the exposed slope. The temperature falls through -25 toward -30. The mountain is dark and empty above them. Inside, they are warm enough. Body heat from 9 people in a closed space, sleeping bags, the shelter of canvas against the wind. It is their last night alive, and they do not know it.
Sometime after 9 that evening, and before 6 in the morning, something happened. We do not know what. 65 years later, we still do not know. What the physical evidence tells us is this. The 9 hikers cut open their tent from the inside, not the entrance, the side. Multiple slashes from inside in what analysts described as frantic but controlled movements. And then they left. They walked out into -30-degree darkness, wearing almost nothing, some barefoot, some in socks. They left their boots, their coats, the stove, the food, the matches, everything that could have kept them alive. The footprints told a strange story. 8 or 9 sets of tracks leading downhill toward the tree line. The prints were orderly, walking pace, not running, not stumbling, not scattering, walking together. Whatever drove them out was terrifying enough to abandon everything, but not terrifying enough to run. Think about what kind of threat produces that response. Not an animal, you would run. Not an avalanche, you would scatter. They walked calmly into conditions that would kill them in under an hour, as if leaving the tent was the rational choice. The first 2 were found at a cedar tree, 1,500 meters downhill. Doroshenko and Krivonishenko. They had built a small fire, green branches that smoked more than they burned. The fire had gone out. Branches 5 meters up the trunk were broken, bark torn by bare hands. Someone had climbed the tree, perhaps to see back toward the tent. The view would have shown it, a dark shape on the white slope. Everything they needed, visible and unreachable. Both men died of hypothermia. Krivonishenko's hands were burned. He had reached into the dying fire with bare hands in the final stages of cold. 3 more were found on the slope between the cedar and the tent. Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, Slobodin. They had tried to go back to reach the boots, the coats, the stove. Dyatlov was found 300 meters from the cedar, face up, one arm raised. Kolmogorova further uphill. She had made it the farthest. Face down, fists clenched. Slobodin between them with a skull fracture autopsy would reveal. All 3 died of hypothermia. Tent was still visible from where they fell. The remaining 4 were not found until May. As the snow melted, search teams probed with metal pole. On May 4th, 3 months later, they found them in a ravine 4 meters deep, 75 meters from the cedar. Dubinina, Kolevatov, Zolotaryov, Thibaut, Brignol. They lay together on a platform of branches above the stream bed. Some wore clothing taken from the dead at the cedar. Fabric cut from Krivonichenko's pants wrapped around Dubinina's feet. A desperate act of survival. They had taken clothing from the dead to save the living. It had not been enough. Their injuries were radically different from the first 5. Dubinina had more than 10 broken ribs, crushed inward. Tongue was missing. Her eyes were missing. Zolotaryov had similar chest injuries. His eyes were also missing. Thibaut Brignol had a depressed skull fracture. The medical examiner compared the chest injuries to the force of a car crash. No human could inflict them with bare hands. And yet, no external wounds, no cuts, no bruises. The force that destroyed their chests left no mark on the skin. A force strong enough to shatter 10 ribs, with no vehicle, no machinery, no weapon, and no mark on the outside, as if the force came from everywhere at once. Dubinina's missing tongue has generated more speculation than any other detail. Some believe it was decomposition. The bodies lay in running water for 3 months. Others note the tongue was missing entirely, not decomposed, absent. The debate continued. The search party found the tent on February 26th, 25 days after the night. Inside, everything was as it had been left. 9 pairs of boots by the entrance, the stove never lit. Food for days, warm coats, cameras, diaries, everything a person would need to survive. Everything left behind. The Soviet investigation lasted 3 months. Some clothing tested positive for radioactive contamination, low but anomalous levels. Investigator Lev Ivanov's final report concluded that the group was killed by, his exact words, compelling natural force, which the hikers were unable to overcome. 11 words. No specifics, no mechanism, no explanation. Case was classified secret. For 30 years, under Soviet rule, no one was permitted to look at it. The families of the victims were told nothing beyond the official conclusion. The university was told nothing. The case became a rumor, a legend, a story passed between mountaineers and students in whispered conversations. The facts disappeared into the Soviet archive. The questions remained. After the Soviet Union fell, Ivanov spoke publicly. He said he had been ordered to close the case. He said there were things he could not include.
He also said that during the investigation,
He had observed flying spheres, luminous objects in the sky above the region. He could not explain them. In the decades since, the Dyatlov Pass has become the most debated, unsolved mystery in Russian history. Dozens of theories exist. Avalanche, the 2020 Russian government conclusion. A small slab hitting the tent. Problem, no debris found. The slope angle is too shallow for most avalanches, and it does not explain why they walked 1,500 meters instead of stepping aside. Military testing, a secret weapons test. This would explain the radiation and the lights, but no blast evidence exists. No government has acknowledged testing there. Katabatic wind, a sudden, violent downdraft, might explain the evacuation, does not explain the injuries. Infrasound, low-frequency wind causing panic below human hearing.
theoretically possible.
Never documented at this severity. Some suggest a Soviet military cover-up. The hikers saw something they should not have seen. No direct evidence. But the case classification and the orders Ivanov received have kept this theory alive. Each theory explains some evidence. None explains all of it. After 65 years, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains what it has always been. 9 people who did something no rational person would do for reasons no one can explain, and died in ways no theory can account for. The mystery endures not because the evidence is insufficient. There is more physical evidence in this case than in most unsolved cases in history. It endures because the evidence contradicts itself. The footprints say calm. Injuries say violence. Tent says panic. The bodies say cold. No single explanation connects them all.
Pass was named Dyatlov Pass in 1963. A memorial plaque stands at the site. People hike to it. They leave flowers. They stand where the tent stood. The mountain does not care. It has been dead mountain for longer than anyone can remember. In Yekaterinburg, their graves stand in a row. 9 headstones with oval ceramic photographs. Young faces frozen at the age they died. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And Zolotaryov, 37. A man who survived the entire Second World War, only to die on a mountainside in peacetime. People still bring flowers. People still wonder. Yuri Yudin, the man who turned back, visited the graves for 54 years. He said, not a day passed without thinking of that moment. The embrace, path dividing, 9 friends walking into the trees. He said, if I had gone with them, I would be the 10th grave. But I would know. I would finally know. 9 hikers, 1 mountain, 1 night. No survivors, no witnesses, no explanation. The cameras recorded their last days. The snow preserved their last steps. And the mountain, dead mountain, keeps its silence. It has kept it for 65 years, and it will keep it ever. On the memorial plaque at the pass, 9 names are listed without explanation, without theory, without conclusion. Just names, just ages, just the year they did not return. Plaque does not say what killed them because no one knows, and perhaps no one ever will.